In a world of screens, a quiet movement is happening in living rooms. Faith-based book clubs are booming. After a 15-year low, weekly Bible reading has rebounded by a massive 12 points, with half of all Christians now engaging weekly. But the real story is, who's behind it? This surge is driven by Gen Z and millennials, with Gen Z engagement nearly doubling in 1 year. And in a complete reversal of history, it's young men who are now leading the charge, outpacing young women in weekly reading. So what is going on? We'll uncover the data, the deep psychological drivers, and the real-world impact of this powerful movement. This isn't just a personal trend, it has massive economic implications. But how can reading surge when physical bookstores are closing? Despite bookstore closures, the Christian book market is thriving. Sales hit $757 million in 2022, up substantially from a decade prior. In fact, religious press sales were the fastest-growing segment in all of trade publishing in early 2024. This demand is far from a niche audience, but numbers only tell part of the story. At the center of this trend are faith-based book clubs. Their primary power is building genuine community. They are also accelerators for personal and spiritual growth, encouraging members to apply principles to the real world, not just abstractly discuss them. So these are not just reading groups. They are powerful engines for connection and transformation. But how exactly do they achieve this? The impact of these clubs comes from a few key mechanisms that set them apart. Let's break down how they actually function. First, group dialogue unlocks deeper insights. Members often discover perspectives they would have missed completely when reading alone. Second, they provide encouragement and accountability. This support system helps members stay committed to their reading and their faith. Third, they serve as a unique social outlet. These groups forge friendships across generations, strengthening the entire community. This model of learning feels very modern. But is this just a new trend? Or is it an echo of something much, much older? Think about it. Where do you believe the idea of a book club actually originated? The answer is probably not what you expect. The modern book club traces its roots directly back to religious discussion groups. In 1634, Anne Hutchinson's Bible study was a radical act of self-education. This tradition goes back even further, to the early church itself. When most couldn't read, communal reading was fundamental to the spread of Christianity. Today, churches are reviving this tradition. They are actively supporting reading with free Bibles, reading plans, and church-wide campaigns. The impact extends beyond the church walls. Reading about social justice often motivates groups to start their own community projects or volunteer work. And the reading isn't just scripture. Engaging with fiction and poetry is also seen as a spiritual practice that fosters empathy and connection. So we have a historical movement that's surging in popularity. But the story is not that simple. There's a fascinating paradox at its center. Why are young people, often seen as skeptical of authority, flocking to read a book like the Bible? The data reveals a surprising gap. Here is the paradox. While weekly Bible reading is surging among the young, a smaller percentage of this same group strongly affirms its authority. This suggests that for many, engagement is more about seeking wisdom, community, and meaning than it is about subscribing to a rigid doctrinal system. This is where book clubs become in-between spaces. They are safe zones where religious conversations are welcome but not the only focus. So we can finally answer the question, why is this happening now? It's not one thing. It's a perfect storm of cultural and psychological needs. First, Analysts see this as a direct response to cultural instability. In a chaotic world, there is a deep hunger for timeless truth. Second, particularly for Gen Z, it is a reaction to loneliness and digital burnout. It's a move toward physical books and real-life community. So when you combine that hunger for truth with the need for connection, you get the explosive demographic growth we saw at the beginning. The rise of faith-based book clubs is far more than a trend. It's a powerful social and spiritual movement, answering a profound modern need. Driven by a generation seeking refuge from digital isolation and cultural chaos, these groups are not just reviving reading, they are rebuilding community. As this movement continues to grow, it has the potential to reshape not just churches, but the very fabric of local communities. What has your experience been with reading and community? Share your story in the comments below.